I'm off to Moscow on Monday for a board meeting on Tuesday and Wednesday, where we'll discuss Systema's strategy in the light of what has happened and may happen in the Ukraine. When we're not discussing what's happening in the Ukraine, I then go to St. Petersburg for the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum on Thursday and Friday. And when we're not discussing Ukraine, we'll discuss what Russia does to raise its growth rates once again. As you're probably aware, between 2000 and 2008, it had an average growth rate of something like 6-7%, peaking at about 8%, although that was quite suspect, I think, in 2008. Last year, it was probably just over 1%, 1.3%, having been forecast to be 2.5%. And most forecasters are saying it'll be below 1% this year. So Russia has clearly stalled in terms of its growth. And I heard somebody earlier say that Russia was in decline. I think was it you, Joe? I wouldn't have used the word decline. GDP per head went up tenfold between 2000 and 2008, and it's still increasing now. What I think we have is a real missed opportunity for Russia in terms of using its hydrocarbon and raw material revenues to create a modern, diversified economy. And I have views about the nature of management there, which affects that, and I'm happy to talk about that later on. Putin goes to China. I think he may be on his way now for a meeting with the Chinese government this week, and then comes back to St. Petersburg to tell us the result of that. My guess is that part of that will be about how it will strengthen or weaken his hand in looking for what the Russians see as the outcome they would like in Ukraine. And finally, of course, in Ukraine itself, there are elections for the new government next Sunday. So we're kind of a week early in many ways, but at least it enables us to dream. I'm happy to talk about what I think the Russian perspective on Ukraine is. As you can imagine, because I spend quite a lot of time there, I spend quite a lot of time talking to senior Russians about how they see the actions that have been taken and how they see the West's reaction. And whereas none of us are inside the heads of the president or his immediate consultative group in Russia, at least I can understand some of their logic, and I'm happy to give you their logic because it presents quite a different picture from that which we see presented to us every day here. I think there's no doubt that under international law, what happened in the Ukraine, which was, as I understand it, was a referendum which was against Ukrainian law, and therefore by taking advantage of a referendum which is against Ukrainian law, the Russians therefore infringed international law. I think there's no doubt that seems to be illegitimate, but no doubt they have a picture on that as well. What I do think is important is when you think about Russia, you understand that Russians are quite different from us. They're not completely different, they look pretty much the same, but the frameworks of their attitudes and their behaviours were formed in a period of a different type of government, a different type of economy, and so they simply think differently. And it's very, very important, I have found in my time there, when you're doing business with them, as it is in fact doing business with anybody, to try and sit on their side of the fence and think, well, how are they looking at this? Because if you sit on their side of the fence and think that, at least you stand a chance of making a bridge in terms of a transaction or a solution to Ukraine. And what I would hope for is that in Ukraine we can get all parties around the table to assist Ukrainians in working out how they make their country governable for the future.